I'm so glad all of you are here. My name is Andy Engel, and I lead virtual public programs at Reimagine. Um, for those who don't know, Reimagine is a nonprofit that brings people together in facing grief, loss, adversity, and mortality. We encourage all of you to take small, sweet steps and to pace ourselves as we channel life's individual and collective challenges into meaningful action and growth. Everyone here is welcome. We're eager to gather folks of diverse backgrounds, ages, races, faith, people of no faith. At Reimagine, we transform grief into growth, turning life's hardest moments into opportunities for creativity, connection, and flourishing. I just want to give a huge shout out to this team here, who are in many ways all affiliated with Get Griefy magazine. And I want to give particular kudos to Amanda McCoy Flanagan, who really was the primary assembler of all these people and my main point of contact when we were organizing. But Amanda and Anna have told me that behind the scenes there was a lot going on to make this happen. So I want to give a special shout out to Sundari Malcolm, longtime Reimagine collaborator. Hello, dear. Dr. Elrisi Doc, Susie Stonefield, Annah Elizabeth, and later tonight, Nina Rodriguez will be joining us as moderator. So I'm going to hand this off now to Amanda to say, oh, sorry, to Amanda, is that right? To
Anna.
say the words?
Anna.
Anna, sorry. Anna Elizabeth. Thank you so
Hi.
much.
Thank you, Andy. They both start with A, right? Thank you to all of you who are joining, to the other workshop presenters today who are on this call. Thank you for all of your hard work. For all of you who have joined us, we have spent the last several months pouring our hearts and our minds and our energies into creating this event for you. If you're not aware, we do have workshops all throughout the day. And if you're not able to attend one of the sessions or more, don't sweat it because we have you covered. We are going to be providing a recording of all sessions for anyone who has registered. You're welcome to join as many as you can. Amanda has put the slide up there, the schedule of what is coming, and we'll have that a little later on throughout the day. There's a whole range of topics, experiences that each presenter brings to the table, and our main goal is in much alignment with the Reimagine and Andy's mission, which is to just help you transform any conflict or grief that you have into growth. And for me, that is creating healing moments. And the program that I'm honored to share with you today is to help you navigate the holidays with a little more confidence, grace, and ease. While we are struggling to begin with, holidays and other celebratory events, as I like to say, they require more time, energy, more demands on all of our resources, whether they're financial, mental, emotional. And so conflict and grief can feel complicated. Everything that I do as a healing specialist is to help make it a little bit easier to manage. And I think as you move through the day with all of these presentations today, and in the evening, we also have a panel. So as a roundtable discussion, so there'll be 6 of us. Andy sort of named all of us. Please join in as many as you can. And with that, I am going to dive into my presentation. And again, thank you for showing up for yourself. Bear with me here just a moment while I pull this up, get everything going. There we go. Does that look great, Amanda? Perfect. So today, my presentation is creating holiday harmony, heartfelt talk, and tools. The information that I'm sharing with you today comes from my Healing Through the Holidays 5-week series. It's almost 7 hours of content that I'm condensing into this 1 hour and 15-minute presentation. That said, my free gift to you is a copy of my Healing Through the Holidays free ebook where you can actually dive into this content in a much deeper, like the full context of everything. And also, then you will have time to reflect and go through each component on your own. I'm going to share just a little bit about why I do what I do. So, I am a healing specialist. Everything that I do centers around helping you heal any conflict or grief. My story really began on May 11th of 1990 when my firstborn son died 26 minutes after birth due to unexpected delivery complications. Over the next 6 years and 10 months, I would go on to experience 2 complicated but successful pregnancies, 2 second trimester miscarriages, a 6-week psychiatric stay that encompassed Christmas and my 32nd birthday, and one final pregnancy. 6 weeks before that child was born, I discovered that my husband and my best friend were having an affair. All of that loss in a very short period of time. And you who is here can imagine, especially with that one hospital stay that encompassed 2 very important events in life, right? The holidays and a day when I'm supposed to be, when we think of celebrating ourselves. And then all through those years, not just that 7 years, but beyond, while I was figuring out what I needed to heal, there were many holidays that were impacted. This program that I've created was born out of that for my own healing and for the thousands of people that I've interacted with over the years who are really, really struggling around the holidays. So it is my honor to share this with you. And let me just see, for some reason, my slide is not moving forward, so bear with me. You know, technology is wonderful. Whoops, there's a delay here. Okay. All right, here we go. One of the things that I always like to do any presentation that I have is to what I call set state and intention. For some of us, it's evening time and it's the end of our busy day. For some of us, we're just beginning our day and there's all these things that we need to think of to prepare. Bringing yourself here into this moment. So just I invite you to take 3 deep, slow breaths in and slow exhalation out, allowing your body to relax, to come here into this present moment. That way, you're able to receive in as much of this information that resonates with you. The other thing that I always invite people to do is set your intention. What is it that you want to achieve, receive, gain, gather? What growth do you want? What healing do you want? Whatever that looks like for you, not just during this session, but because we have so many amazing presentations coming up throughout the day, what would you like to gain from your experience and your time with us here? So just set that quiet intention for yourself. Feel free to drop that in the chat. if that feels right to you as well. We are going to be using the chat box for many of these. There is a very long list, as you can see by these images here, of common holiday conflicts, concerns, and fears, and they truly are universal. Travel is a big one. Fear of flying, fear of heights, fear of traffic, delays. What if the car breaks down? The financial cost, gifts, either receiving a gift that isn't in alignment with who you are, or are the gifts that you're going to give going to be disappointing or appreciated? One of the things that I always say is what is so perfectly right for one person is so horrifically, horribly wrong for another. Some of these things will resonate with you, some of them will not. Just discard anything that doesn't apply to you and take in what does. Guest, who to invite, when to invite. Are the people that you're inviting going to be getting along, or are you going to have to mediate certain situations? Finances are a big one, monetary. And when we've gone through a loss event, whether it's the death of a loved one or any other type of loss, loss of a job, loss of emotional security, loss of a relationship, those things often impact our finances in some way or another. Drama is another one. And there's a very common joke about family gatherings, whether it's the holidays or it's other like family reunions. These jokes exist for a reason, because it is common that when you bring people together of varying opinions, lifestyles, and thoughts, there is the potential for drama. Weight gain is another big one. What topics are going to come up during the event? The environment. Is it going to be too cold, too hot? Is it going to be cramped? Is it going to be loud? These are all, again, universal concerns across the globe and fears. Unknowns. What is going to happen? What isn't going to happen? And one of the examples that I often share is I used to host all of the holiday events, and I had several things that sort of blindsided me. One, at one of my children's graduations, I had someone knock on the door, and I answered the door, and one of my other guests had invited somebody else to come. I had no idea. At one of our holiday meals, somebody showed up with a dog. My dog at the time didn't do well with other animals. So you can imagine, right, that chaos there. So there's so many unknowns that if you've had an experience like that, it sort of lingers with future events. And that is a very real concern. The outcome, is it going to be successful by our standards and terms? And then judgment is another big one, fear of being judged, and by how we're hosting, how we're showing up, what we're cooking, what we're bringing. And one of the things that I always say, as you see here, is insert your whatever. So if you have a common fear or concern that's not listed here, please feel free to drop it in the chat, because I guarantee you, if you have this, somebody else does as well, and they will benefit from that. This here is it's another gift to you. It's actually available, I'm pretty sure, as a resource in the Reimagine list. I need to double check that, but it is a free gift that I give. It's called my Empowerment Guide, and this is the Holiday Quick Assessment Guide. This helps you move from where you at, where do you want to go, and what resources do you have to help you get there. If you don't have a copy of this guide, reach out to me. I will get it to you. If I had had the foresight, I would have sent Amanda the link so she could drop that in the chat. But This is a tool that is super easy to help you figure out where you are. Now, all of the work that I do centers around we are born with 5 universal gifts, which is the academic facet, which has to do with our thoughts, our ability to learn, the emotional facet, our ability to feel, the physical and facet is our physical body and our physical environment. The social facet is our connection to the world around us. And for alliteration, I say people, pets, plants, and place. We all have those connections. And then the spiritual facet is the divine self within. When we are feeling stressed, conflicted, overwhelmed, one of the reasons is I say there's this big loss umbrella. There's this big umbrella that has all of these components that are contributing to our overwhelm. So many of them are like ghosts batting at us in the dark because we're unaware of them. Once we can shine a spotlight on them, now they have less or no control over us, and we have the ability to do something about it. So this guide, and I truly tell people, print out many copies. It's yours to use. Put them in your bathroom with your crossword puzzle book. Put them in your nightstand. Put them in your car. Put them in your kitchen. Put them in your office space. Anytime you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or stressed, you can pull this out and very quickly and easily start identifying what you want. So in the first here, we have basically, where are you at? What are you experiencing right now? What stress are you experiencing? And what does it feel like in your body? It doesn't have to be an essay. It can be, or it can just be a few words. I invite people to check as many boxes as resonate with you. So are you lacking knowledge or information, or is your mind running on that loop? Check that academic box. If you're feeling sad and overwhelmed or angry, check that box. Go down through there. The next is the self-assessment. What is it that you want to happen? You know where you are now. What do you want to happen, to experience? This is important. You don't have, if you checked all 5 boxes above, you don't have to check all 5 boxes in the next segment. You can, or you don't have to. It truly is whatever you are moved to, what resonates with you as you go through each box, because it's helping you then trickle down, narrow down into what you can easily do moving forward. So maybe if your mind is racing and you want that mind to just be calm, right? You want clarity. If there's chaotic thoughts, check that box and put that's what you want. The next are your personal assets. What are your strengths and your personal resources that you can use? It might be that you're tenacious. It might be that you're a rock star at meditation. It might be that you have a lot of hope in your heart and trust. Whatever these are, you know how to be kind and loving towards yourself. What are those, what I call skills, gifts, and abilities that you have that are personal within? The next one is, what are your outside resources? Maybe it's a person that you know, a trusted friend that you can always call on. Maybe it's a book that has been sitting on your desk and you keep thinking, wow, I really want to read that book. It keeps showing up over and over again. What are those outside resources then? And check for as many of these boxes as you want. The last step now is the action plan. What can you do? What is one simple step for any of these, any area or any areas? What's one simple step that you can take to achieve where you want to be? And again, it's so simple and it works like magic. So please feel free to use this for any of those holiday fears and concerns that we mentioned and any that you listed that might not shown up. And I'm just looking to see what is. Okay, thank you for sharing that. I'm here to lighten, to share the load of life and just be. Thank you for that. I'm looking forward to enjoying being in community with everyone today. Yes, Sundari, yes. Loneliness is what you're experiencing, and so many of us have. And that's one of the beautiful things about the Reimagine community, the Get Grieving community, and those of us who are here presenting for you today. When we come together, we have these shared resources, shared emotions, shared experiences. So thank you for those of you who dropped in the chat. Welcome. What I say is, 'tis the season for. This is where we're going to dive into these 5 areas, and some of them might show up in ways that you haven't thought about before. 'Tis the season for asking for help. 'Tis the season for being flexible, for self-care, for letting go, and boundaries. As I said, this program itself, it's a 5-week course. It's 7 hours worth of content. And today we're only going to look at very small single pieces within it so that we can stay on time and to be able to have time for the Q&A at the end and the sharing. The first one that we are going to look at is, 'tis the season for asking for help. Raise your hand, put an emoji in the chat if asking for help is something that is challenging for you. I've got both my hands up. That is something that for me was very, very difficult. I'm a Capricorn, the doer, the mountain goat, the climber. I like to say I'm a recovering perfectionist. Anybody else out there? And so asking for help is a challenge. This is something I've written about many times on my blog. And it was born from a time when I had had some surgery and I'd come home and a very dear friend of mine showed up with some food. There was a mountain of dishes in the sink and she immediately went over and started washing them. So if this resonates with you, I was horrified because I felt embarrassed. I felt shame, all of the emotions. And I'm like, leave it. It's okay. I'll get it later. It's all good. And she said, I remember clear as day, she said, I want to help. And in that moment, I had this epiphany. I know myself when I give, and I love giving, I love helping people, I love supporting people. It lights me up. It makes me feel vibrant. It's why from the time I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a helper. And I remember, if any of you are familiar with Mr. Rogers from way back when, and I remember reading a quote that his mother said to him, and if I remember right, he said it was one of the biggest lessons he carried through life. And she said, always look for the helpers. When my son died, that ultimately in that 7-year string of losses put me on a path of how I could show up and help people. And in that moment, I realized that when my friend was standing at the sink and I'm struggling and telling her, stop, 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 that's what I was screaming inside, stop, stop, stop. I realized that she wanted to help, and that was her gift she was putting out in the world. By me rejecting that help, I was depriving her the gift of giving. It was really an epiphany for me. If that resonates with you, raise your hand, drop a yes in the chat. So one of the things that I say is give the gift of receiving. Give someone else the gift of giving and give yourself the gift of receiving. Now, during the holidays and other celebratory events, when you're struggling to begin with, and now you have all these additional demands on your time and these other fears and concerns and conflicts surface, if people offer and it's something that you can use, say yes and thank you. You're supporting both yourself and them. The other thing that you can do, and this can be challenging for some of us to learn and practice, but first ask yourself, what is it I need, want, or what am I feeling? And would you? So reach out to someone. Would you? What does that look like? Would you come over and have coffee with me? Would you go shopping with me? I really want to shop, but I don't want, I want to go and buy gifts, but I don't want to do it alone. What does that look like for you? And two common areas for people that they could use help. And again, there's many more, but dog walking in children, they tend to be, especially for people who are maybe they're alone and they have a dog, or they're raising families and they just need a little bit of that quiet time. You can have a friend or a family member help you with that. And then there are also paid services if you can afford it, where you can, well, especially with the dog, right? You can hire a dog walker. And there are many other like charitable groups and organizations who might be able to help with your children. You just have to decide what feels right to you. So leaning and asking, leaning into what you need and asking for help. And more importantly, saying yes if someone does offer. And then you'll see this, share your whatever, as I like to say, whatever your need is, add that to the list, make a note of that. The next thing that we are looking at is 'tis the season for letting go. Now, if you're like me, I struggled with this let go, let go, let go for years. It was very, very frustrating for me. What does that mean? And I thought everybody else in the world understood that, and I was the only one that didn't. And I had this awareness one day. For me, letting go is more of it's more of an acceptance. Someone that I met at a conference that I was at earlier this summer said to them, letting go was more about surrender. Now, how each word resonates with you, surrender for me has a whole different connotation than what it did for this person. And we actually had a very long and in-depth conversation about it. But for me, it's more about just accepting this is where I'm at right now in this moment. And one of the things that I always say is we're all doing the best we can with what we have, with where we're at right now. Some days that best feels better than others. But that acceptance, for me, it's letting go of the perfection, letting go, especially around the holidays and celebratory events where there's so much tradition and ritual around what we do. It's for me, it was just accepting this is where I am. This is what I'm able to do right now. Letting go of our story can be a big one because we're in that loop of I am depressed. I am sad. I am a victim. I am a widow. I am divorced. I am going through any of those things. And we get caught in that energy. Now, it's not to say that letting go of it means that it's forever. And this is one of the things to remember. It doesn't have to be forever. just letting go or accepting for the time being, this is what I need right now. And so I'm going to set that story aside and then create what I do want. I'm going to focus, this is what I do want. How can I achieve it? One of the key tips, so in all of these 5 'tis the season strategies, there are different tools that I offer. Today, we're looking at just one in each for time's sake. 3 deep breaths. Now, we kind of did this in the beginning when we were setting in. Honestly, truthfully, it's the foundation of breath and being that you can do in less than 30 seconds. What I invite people to do is as you breathe in slowly to the count of 4 or 5, whatever your lung capacity will be, breathe in slowly. And as you're breathing in, start to notice the breath as it crosses your lip and enters your nose, and as it starts to expand your belly, as it's filling up your lungs, notice that feeling. And then as you're exhaling, notice how the body is relaxing. Exhaling again to the count of 4 or 5 if you can. So we're going to do that here quickly. Well, not quickly, but we're going to do that 3 times. And again, notice how that's happening. You're going to do this 3 times. And so go ahead, and I invite you to do this with me. Breathe in slowly. And exhale. And breathe in slowly to the count of 4 or 5. And exhale. And one more time on your own. Drop in the chat anything that you noticed as you were doing that. What did you notice? So someone wrote about asking for help. Nancy, I often will say to others, if the situation were reversed, you would do this for me without thinking about it, and then proceed to her, I need to allow others to respond similarly. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Sundari says, yes. Amanda, yes, the workshops and the schedule. Thanks for dropping that in. Nancy's leading a Yoga for Grief Holiday Edition classes. Wonderful. Yeah. So thank you for sharing all that. So that is one simple strategy, right? Letting go of the stress, letting go of the expectation. When you feel yourself caught in that loop of it's tradition, it's routine, I have to, I should, people are expecting me to, add your, insert your whatever, as I like to say, use this 3 deep breaths technique to just help you calm, because that will help. One, it will help still your emotional being, the resonance in your body, it will calm it. And then it will also, once that has happened, your mind is clearer to make decisions for what you need. The next is 'tis the season for setting boundaries. When we tend to think about boundaries, we tend to think about setting boundaries with somebody else. Please honor my space. Please honor my personal space. Please respect my wishes. please be nice, please be kind, insert your whatever. I've given a number of presentations over the years on setting boundaries, including to disadvantaged populations and um, people who have certain challenges and disabilities. And one of the important things to remember, and we often overlook, are self boundaries. The truth is, we can ask something of other people all day long, but the only thing that we are in control of is what we do. We can't control whether somebody else will respect our wishes. So what does that mean? We have to sort of set in place, especially around the holidays, to have a plan for, okay, I'm going to make this request. If for whatever reason or reasons that isn't met, what can I do again to achieve what I want? Going back to that empowerment guide, helping you to identify what you want. What can I do to achieve that? And again, there's so much tradition and ritual that we need to make a shift. Sometimes, again, it will be different for each one of us. Your happiness is the only happiness that you are in control of. And this was something that it was another epiphany that I had one year. When the Christmas time's always been my favorite time of year, and I would buy things, I would see things that made me think of somebody that I believed that they would appreciate, that was really in alignment with who they are. Especially with my children, I would spend a great deal of time thinking about what would bring them joy. And I realized one year that I was in my head, and it was quite an epiphany. When I was purchasing a gift without even realizing it, I was seeing an image in my mind as a flash of them being joyful receiving it. And for years, I felt this, that did they really like it? And then I realized the reality, yes, they were happy, but I was seeing a vision in my mind and didn't even realize it. So I'm a very visual person. And once I made that connection, a whole lot of stuff changed for me as far as bringing me peace and calm. They say the average person, if you're not aware of this, the average person has 70,000 thoughts a day. I don't even want to know how many thoughts go through this brain. It's it's insane. And so many of those we aren't aware of. And that mental image is a form of a thought. And so we're not aware of them. And going back to what I talked about, one of the big contributors, we talked about it in the beginning, of overwhelm and stress is all of these moving pieces that we're not aware of. Awareness is more than half the battle. So setting boundaries, coming back to that, what can you do? There are many of us who are struggling and we feel isolated. As you know, somebody mentioned loneliness in the chat, conflict, grief, stress. It can feel very isolating. We want to get out and we want to do things, but those fears and concerns, going back to that long list, the environment, is it going to be crowded? Am I going to have is a song going to come on, or somebody going to say something? Am I going to all of a sudden be triggered and then not know what to do, or feel like I'm going to lose it, as many of us say? One of the key strategies is departure time. That's what I call it. Say yes to the invitation if you want to go. And one of the things that you can do is express to the host or the person that's inviting you, look, I really want to come. I just want you to know that I'm not sure how I'm going to feel when I get there, and I may decide to leave early. If I do, please know that it has nothing to do with you. It's just me. And I'm grateful for the invite. And then go. Set yourself up for the greatest amount of success that you can. And the other thing is, and maybe some of you have experienced this, I've had people throughout my life where they're like, oh, come, come, come. And I'm like, well, I only have an hour. I only want to be an hour or two or whatever that is for you. And they're like, oh, I'll pick you up, I'll help you. And then before you know it, drop a yes in the chat if you've ever experienced this. Before you know it, the hour is gone and they're like, oh, let's go do this, this, this. And you're like, but I really want to go home. And now you're in this struggle. So one of the other things is drive yourself. I would love to join you for an hour and I'll meet you there. That way you are in control rather than putting that boundary, like I'm only available for an hour, putting that on somebody else and expecting them to honor it. You're now setting yourself up so you are in control. And then you get to choose, oh, you know what? I'm really having fun. I thought I only wanted to stay an hour, but I want to stay two. I want to stay more. Or the other, you're like, I thought I could do an hour. I wanted to do an hour, but I'm feeling overwhelmed and I want to go home early. That is also, we're going to talk about that. This is a being flexible tip. But so that departure time and understanding, giving yourself the permission to shift from what any expectation, perceived expectation, tradition, or ritual might be. And again, as you see here, your whatever. What sort of boundaries? Drop that in the chat. What sort of boundaries are helpful for you? I notice the quality of my thoughts of positive memories. Yes, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Noticing presence. Oh, I missed it. I recently heard noticing the presence of absence. Oh, that's beautiful. I've never heard that before. I use the driving myself one a lot because I can get sucked in with family members and members sometimes, yes, right? It is so helpful and it takes us out of that awkward, especially if we have any people-pleasing tendencies, we find we're in that situation, then it adds more conflict and becomes even harder to remove ourselves from. So beautiful. Yeah. Anybody else? What does anybody else have to share here? Thank you for dropping that in, Rachel. Yes. Okay. And remembering your happiness is the only happiness that you can control. 'Tis the season for self-care. For many of us, self-care feels selfish at some point in time in our life. And self-care is not selfish. It is actually a way of supporting yourself. And I love this quote by Katie Reed. Self-care is giving others the best of you, not what's left of you. And I learned this, that when we are overgiving, when we are saying yes, when we really want to say no, and what happens is our inner resources get depleted. And when we are depleted, and it's that, that cliche, that metaphor, like is you pouring from an empty cup, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. One of the examples that I always use is the airlines put your own oxygen mask on before you help somebody else. You can't help somebody else. You can't take care of yourself. You can't work as efficiently. You can't enjoy life as efficiently if you are depleted, run down, exhausted, and feeling deprived. One of the key strategies is to put me on the calendar, not me, but you. Put yourself on the calendar. What does that mean? For every person is going to look different. For some people, it might be a luxurious bubble bath with candles and scents going and candlelight and you name it, right? Massive bubbles. For one person, it could be that. For someone else, it could be taking a nap when you need to take a nap, saying yes. For other people, it could be scheduling that massage that you've needed. For some, it could be going for a walk in nature or getting out and moving your body. Moving your body is it moves the energy, it moves all of the toxins, it moves the blood, it moves the oxygen through your body. All of those things are rejuvenating, and going for a walk doesn't cost anything. Sometimes people think, oh, self-care, right? Self-care, it's going to cost money and I don't have money right now, or my resources are really tight right now. What is it that you can do for self-care? It might be one of the things for me. I rarely watch TV. Rarely watch TV. However, if I've had a really difficult situation, and I'm really feeling kind of down, and this just happened to me recently. I had some unfortunate news with someone very, very close to me, and it was hurtful. And so what do? I turn on a feel-good holiday movie. There's a tiny bit of drama, right? And then there's a happy ending, right? There's a hopeful ending. And so for me, that's that is a form of self-care, taking myself out of those probably 140,000 thoughts a day, out of my mind, out of what's going on, and trying to understand it, and do I need to fix it, and you name it, right? Or stepping away from work, is to just sit down, curl up on the sofa with a blanket and watch something that I can laugh about. And speaking of that, there's actually like laugh therapy is a real thing. And I can't even begin to quote it. I read something recently, and if anybody knows, drop it in the chat. There's been studies that have been done about so many whoops, I just got a low battery message here. Oh Lord. Um, that so we need so many laughs a day. And so setting that up, and one of the suggestions was to actually go on and watch videos of people laughing. So that's something that you can do. Folks, I am having problems with my battery here. Um, oh,
Do you need to take a minute, Anna, and plug it in? Do you need to charge?
yeah, well, it's plugged in, but there seems to be a problem. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Uh, let's see. Whoops. If I can. So recapping the 5, 'tis the season for self-care, asking for help, setting boundaries, letting go, and being flexible. Oh, Lord. This may, am I still here, Amanda?
You are, yes.
Yeah, folks, if I end up losing it, there seems to be a problem with the input there. On the receiving end, because the screen keeps going in and out. So drop in the chat. Drop in the, let's see, did I do the last one? Being flexible. We talked about that briefly. Being flexible. Being flexible is changing the location, recognizing that if you want to leave, if you've planned to go an hour and you want to leave a half an hour in, that you can. Being flexible. If you've always hosted the family gatherings and this year you don't feel like you have the energy, ask someone else to host. And one of the strategies for this is what I call a 5-minute power move. And that's going back to that empowerment guide is what can you do in 5 minutes that can help you? This is actually a strategy that I learned from Mary Morrissey of the Brave Thinking Institute. What can you do in 5 minutes to move you towards whatever it is that you want to achieve? And that is being flexible. So 'tis the season for asking for help, setting boundaries, self-care, letting go, and being flexible. And now we're going to go ahead and move into a little bit early. I'm still trying to figure out this chord, folks, see if I can't get this. What questions do you have? What struggles do you have? What resonated with you? We still have people coming in. What resonated with you? Or what questions can I answer for you? Go ahead and drop that in the chat. Or something that's been helpful to you. Do you have any tips specifically for when you're missing a loved one during the holiday season? There are many things that I've had people share over the years. One is setting a place at the holiday table, that sort of empty seat. One of the things is if you have items of theirs to sit with them, it really is going to be different for everybody. For some people, seeing the belongings and holding them is painful. For other people, it brings comfort. What are music helps. For some people, it's just calming therapeutic music. For others, it's listening to the person's favorite song. I would say what feels right to you, and then you might have to try different things. Some people set up a sort of altar or a memory section in their home where they sit every day. They'll go in the morning or they'll go at night before they go to bed. Those are some of the things. Is there something that you have been thinking about that resonates with you? Who was it that asked that question? Somebody said helpful to set boundaries. Yes, absolutely, Karen. Thank you, Lisa. Rachel, is there some idea that you have been thinking about? for me, and this may resonate with some of you, it may not. After my son died, I would go and sit at the cemetery, sometimes for hours. And sometimes I'd take a blanket and sometimes I'd just lay on the ground. And that brought me some measure of peace early on. So it's going to be so different for each person. Is there something, Rachel, that you have been thinking about? And one thing that does come to my mind for you, Rachel, and for anybody else here who might be struggling with this is something that I struggled with for a while, and it actually years after I thought I had experienced full spectrum healing, and I really had, I no longer mourn any aspect of my son's death. I celebrate his life. And that's one of my messages, my key messages, is that no matter what you've experienced, you can 100% fully heal. Your grief does not have to last forever. But I had my mother, she honored her grandson for 21 years, made donations every birthday, every Christmas, every holiday. She would reach out to me. Um, then I had other people in my circle who, every time I brought up his name, they changed the subject. And I would get very frustrated and I would feel hurt. And I finally realized one year, I was like, wait a minute, what is this frustration for me? And I realized it felt like they were denying him and that they were rejecting my wishes to honor him. And what I had to realize is I've been talking about this for 10, 15 years, and each person is going to grieve in their own way. And for them, these individuals, it did not feel good for them to talk about him. Once I made that connection, I was able to release, I was accept that was their way of dealing with it, and I could still mention him, but I didn't have to feel hurt when they didn't acknowledge him. So I think that's going to help someone here. What else do we have? What other questions? Rachel, does that help you in some way? Try to light a candle. Yes. Um, and continue doing that. If it makes you feel good, try some of these other strategies as well. And feel free to reach out individually for any of you. I do have what I call a free discovery call. It's about a 45-minute call. And I believe Amanda has dropped the, yes, thank you, Amanda. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? And how can I help you get there? So please feel free to reach out. How do you process the lifelong grief that you've experienced from loss from the world? How do you memorialize the loved one? How each person is going to memorialize the loved one is different. So my son's name is Gavin, the one who is in heaven. And on his 25th birthday, as it was approaching around 24 years, I had this idea to have a painting created from him. Now, I never knew him alive. He was my oldest, but his siblings that came after him, he was always a part of our life. They knew that they had a brother. He just wasn't in the physical world. And I actually had a painting commissioned that was centered around a conversation that we had at the cemetery one year, and it was on his birthday. And when he turned 16, we had this tradition, this ritual of on holidays and his birthday, we would go and we would gather around in circle, and anybody who wanted would say, hi, yes, thanks for jumping in. I don't know how much longer I'm going to have, y'all. I thought I had this power supply thing all figured out, but best laid plan. So anyway, back to that question, being able to, and thank you, team, for jumping in. So anyway, at the cemetery on his 16th birthday, I said, "Oh my gosh, he'd be 16. He's driving. What do you think he's driving?" And one of my children said, "Oh my gosh, he's driving a cloud." I was like, "Oh, how cool is that?" The next year on his 17th birthday, as we're gathered around, I was like, "Oh my gosh, last year he was driving a cloud. What do you think he's driving now at 17?" And my daughter said he's driving a shooting star. And so I reached out to an artist that I happened to find who did some abstract stuff. And I had a painting commissioned that represented that. And it's actually titled At the Helm of a Shooting Star. And so there's so many different creative ways that you can honor your loved one now and at any point in time in the future. And one of the things to remember, it can be a challenge when we're early on in our grief. We can still make memories with our deceased loved ones. And that is one of the things that I learned, right? We're doing things in their honor. We're actually creating a memory with them, just in a different form. So I hope that offers some help. So Amanda, I lost the chat. Obviously, when I went out, I only have current chats. Are there any other?
Share your son's name. Did you do that already? Sorry, I was doing.
Gavin. No, you're fine. Thank you. Yes, his name is Gavin. Gavin Michael.
And she says, I have a friend who lost her son to suicide. I never know what to say. Do you have questions?
And that honestly goes back to what is so perfectly poignantly right for one person to be so horrifically, horribly wrong for another. One of the things that I always recommend is if you've had something that has helped you, you can say, "I don't know if this will help you, but this is something that has helped me." Or another thing that I always say, so she's a friend, if you know certain things about her, something that she enjoys, you can say, "Hey," and this is just for example, "I know you really enjoy the ocean, and I would love to schedule a day trip to take you, or let's go for a walk in nature." And
So I think what Anna was getting at is there are no platitudes. There are no words and we don't have to make anybody feel better. We actually shouldn't try to make anybody feel better. People, as you know, if you've been through grief, I assume you're here, you're experiencing grief, not been through it, but you're in it. There's really nothing that anybody can say or that you want them to say to take that pain away, or we don't need to fix, change, or heal anybody, right? Just being witness, just being with the person is great. And then taking an action or doing something, suggesting something. Like I saw something this morning that said, instead of saying, "Let me know what you need," "Hey, I'm making dinner. Can I bring some extra for you? I'm going to pick up a coffee. Can I get you one? I know your children get out of school at 3 p.m. Would you like me to go pick them up? I'm going to the supermarket. Would you like me to get you something?" Right? Like things that thinking for them, basically. Just kind of taking that initiative, that proactive approach, rather than putting it on your friend to have to conjure up something and think more, right? So just make it as easy as possible for them. Okay, Anna is back. Definitely, Lupe. I see that. Folks love to talk about their person. Yeah, and ask them their name. I'm glad that you asked Anna her son's name because we don't say our person's name often enough.
Yep. And thank you, Amanda, for jumping in. So for some people, it is helpful to hear the name. For me, it is helpful to be able to say my son's name and to hear other people acknowledge him. However, just as that extended community that I talked about, for them hearing his name, it was very difficult. And so I always invite people to say, and this one of the things that I started to say, and I jumped in on my phone because the computer is just done, but is to be able to say, number one, to the person that asked about your friend, and I don't know what your friend's name is, so let's just say Amanda, because we're here with Amanda. Say, Amanda, I just want you to know you're in my heart. I'm thinking about you. I really don't know what to say, but I want you to know that I love you. I love you, and I'm here for you. And sometimes that is enough. And then to just offer, would this be helpful to you? I would love to do this. Would this be helpful to you? And they may say, no, 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 no. And it might feel like a rejection, and just keep reaching out. And one of the big things is, in the early days after the death of an individual, there's more people in support than we know what to do with. And it's in the 3 weeks after the funeral, the month after, the 2 months after, the 6 months after, when they feel like the world has abandoned them. So reach out, make that phone call, and just kind of follow their lead. And then as far as the child's name, it is perfectly okay to say, I love to hear my child's name or my friend's name or my loved one's name. So please feel free to do that. Please feel free to ask about him or her. Please feel free to share stories with me, because I love that. In the same regard, if it's painful for you to be able to say to someone, right now, it's difficult for me to share stories, hear stories, say their name. I can't say that that will be forever, but right now that's where I'm at. And, can we talk about something else? So there, again, there's both sides of that spectrum. I hope that helps someone. Amanda, are there any other? And thank you again, team, for just like jumping in.
Yeah,
Grateful.
there's one more question. We have a couple minutes, and I don't know, Shanhita, I don't know if you're still here. I don't think I see your square, but this is a very good question, and I think it might be helpful for other people here. How do you process the lifelong grief that you've experienced from loss from the world? I'm not 100% sure what that exactly means
Mm.
from the world. How do you memorialize the loved one?
Yep. So that was a question that I was answering before the
Oh, you did?
computer died. Well, I was talking about that right when my computer died. That's when I talked about, and hopefully that part of it came in when I was talking about the painting I had commissioned.
Oh, yeah.
I was answering that question, and how it's memorialized is going to be different. Some people put up benches in a park. Um, and those compounding losses, and I know that I'm not the only one who's had multiple losses. Every human, there's no human that goes unscathed from some sort of loss in their life. And for many of us, we've had multiple losses, some over years and some in a very quick succession. How do I process that? For me, the question was, during that 6-year and 10-month string of losses, how is it that some people go on to live happy, fulfilled lives following tragedy, mishap, or mayhem, while others succumb to drugs, despair, a life of void, or suicide? That question spawned thousands of questions, and I relentlessly pursued the answers, which is the body of work that I built to help other people. In that process, though, I was understanding how all the research that I did, the thousands of people that I talked to, how I could apply that to myself. And I wish that I could wave a magic wand for all of you who are saying, how do you process that? And say, here's one way. And the unfortunate truth is, there's no just one way, because generally it's a whole combination of things that happen. And Andy, in the beginning, for all of you who are here, they talked about Reimagine's goal is to help people go from grief to growth. And when we're in the throes of early grief to hear growth and healing. And sometimes it could really make us feel nauseous. Like, I don't want to hear that right now. I just want to effing feel better. And how each one of us is going to feel better, which each time we experience feeling better, even if it's for a moment, what I say is if you're feeling sad and something makes you smile, that is feeling better in the moment. And that is a healing moment. Healing is not a destination, it's a collection of all of those micro moments. And how each one of us, and hopefully you've seen through some of the stories that I shared, it truly is a process, and how long that process takes is going to be unique to each one of us. And honor that, honor where you are. And as you move through these holidays, do what you can with where you are, with what you have. Trust in that, support yourself, reach out to the people who can support you, take what resonates, discard the rest, and take care of you. And honestly, in wrapping up, just to say thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up for yourself today. To all of the presenters, my fellow presenters showing up, because when we show up for ourselves, we actually are creating a healing moment. We might not know what it means. And when we create that healing moment, when we engage in that self-care, that self-love, what we need, that is rippling out just by you being you. That energy is rippling out and it is impacting other people around you. And as I always like to say, I see you, I honor you, I feel you, and most importantly, I believe in you. I believe in your healing. I believe in your ability to heal. And it's been my pleasure and honor to share this time with you today. Thank you for your grace in all of these tech issues.